Hello, welcome to Upgrade. My name is Jonathan Wrenn, and I am a member of Abiding Truth Ministries. I am the president of Educate to Rejuvenate, Inc. Thank you for coming today and listening to the talk. We're going to talk about the role of the Black man in our community. There are 5 main topics I will cover: economics, education, family, religion, and trauma. Now, starting with economics, the importance of economics in the role of a Black man. We usually in our community don't start with economics, but I believe it's very necessary to start with what makes actual sense. So let's go back in time for some quick mentions. I'll call them quick mentions. Let's go back and think about how at the beginning, when they were in the garden, God assigned man responsibility. Okay, I don't think any religion disputes the importance of a man's responsibility in this world. Okay, and then there's the accountability that goes along with that. So when you talk about economics, it actually starts there. Because when you talk about responsibility, then you're talking about a person providing, and provisions and economics are kind of go together like one. So even though it was not money in the sense of economics back then, and economics wasn't considered the same thing as today, it's very important that we understand this has been set up for us from the beginning as Black men to do and do well for our families, okay? So when you're talking about economics in our community, then you're talking about what we should be doing as men to develop more financial opportunities for our youth and our sons and daughters in our own families. Of course, there's a big topic, economics out there, and we could go in deep, but we want to just talk about some of the basics right now. So some of the main basics right now would be getting a job and providing for your family. But before you can do that, you have to be educated with the talent that you need to perform the job really well. That's very important. So often do we believe that we deserve the best job in the world coming out of a situation with not much experience and not much education and not much talent to do the job. And the aspiration of thinking you deserve the best job in the world is actually a good thing. But then there's I have to do something to build myself up so that I can turn it into a financial goal that can make me have better economic abilities in society today. I think that, of course, although it's a very big, topic, it's not too hard to understand the give and take of anything. And I think Black men today need to start to get into a lot more of give and take, and more giving than taking, of course, but you need to have planned on how you're going to go about getting your financial situation and your house in order so that you can take care of your family. And I started with that because I think most importantly in our community, we need to not be scared about talking about finances and how we need to manage those finances completely differently today, considering the way that money is moving on the internet. And we can't be far behind for our next generation. So we need to take economics very serious as Black men, I believe. And I think our role defines that we are responsible for what happens economically in our community. And we need to finally believe that and take on that and then change that. Then that ties into the next thing, which is education. When it comes down to education, yes, there's multiple types of education. Yes, you have the formal education where people go to school, college, And yes, you have the street education where you can learn whatever on the streets. And yes, you have education that's private, taught by, experienced people in private settings. Um, Plenty of types of education. But when we look at the role of a black man, then we have to look at his responsibility in getting educated. And that's a little bit more multifaceted because a black man in our community has to definitely have some semblance of his history. I think there's so many of us out here today that have lost our understanding of our history because we have done well financially and we have some of the same things that we see other Caucasian counterparts have, and we say to ourselves, well, we're doing good, we're good to go. But we're losing ourselves when we don't decide that our history is important. And other cultures definitely have taught us how important it is to keep your history in the forefront of your young people, to keep their pride, to keep their energy, to keep them motivated, to continue to help their particular culture grow. We need to definitely probably take a look at how we can educate our young people to their history in a motivational fashion so that they can feel really comfortable and understand what their roles are, and they won't be as confused as young people coming through this system saying, well, who am I supposed to be and what am I supposed to be? It's kind of like learning history and the pride of what other people did before you actually gives you a good idea of what possibilities were then, but then your mind starts thinking about what the possibilities are now. So education for the role of a black man in our community starts with us getting back into our history for the purpose of being motivated to do better and be better in our communities. I think it's really important that we look at formal education as well. When someone becomes a doctor or a lawyer, they affect the economics in our community on a whole nother level. And they can then help people in our community financially. They can then reach out to multi-levels of politicians and different people to make changes in the community. Now, one of the issues that has been with the black man is that he forgets his role when he becomes a doctor, lawyer, famous basketball player, and he rolls out of the community. And unfortunately, that's a big problem because economics, as we talked about earlier, says that he just took millions of dollars out of the community, and that money won't flow back into the community. Lawyers and doctors, they taking a couple $100,000 out of the community, and it's not going to flow back into the community. It becomes really important that we understand these things in order to understand why you need to live in your community. You need to grow and develop your community. We should not have fear of all of this crime and things that are going on, because we have given way more opportunities to people who have a reason for the value of their community, and they will tell what is going on in their community because their community has value, and they won't allow for people to be destroying and destructive in their community. So these things tie in that way. The rich actually have to stay in your community for economical reasons, and then they have the influence now to have the political system and the laws be changed and converted to ensure that things are coming to this community and that the community is better off than it was before.